build 3 perpetual chords, and there's 3 sculptures which are sort of like a trail. They're in a sort of arc in the park. You can just see one from the other. So it forms a sort of like a walk, a promenade through the park, and a new sort of route. And they are these visualizations of 3 musical chords. So there's a 2-to-1, a 3-to-2, and a 4-to-3 ratio. And they are sort of these geometric sort of transmogrifications of these ratios into sort of into heavy steel forms, cast iron forms. Well, it's been a really long process. It involves a series of cast patterns. So the stages go from sort of 3D modelling on a computer to dividing the form up into a series of sort of sausages, if you like, which are then made into 3D patterns. The patterns are then cut in these huge boxes, and they're sort of carved out of sort of a plastic wood, out of a polymer, and then milled out, which you can see on the machine. And the patterns are taken to a foundry. And the furnace, they do everything from like Ministry of Defence to sort of CAT scans for the NHS. The foundry will then sort of pack the internal section with sand so that it becomes hollow. And they'll pour the cast iron into the mould, and it will chase out, and then the sand is knocked out from the inside. So you kind of have it left with these sort of raw kind of pieces. Then they're brought back to the studio, where they are then welded together to form these continuous loops. Well, it is really precise. I mean, the problem is that you can start at one end and work your way around, and then find out that the thing doesn't join up. So imagine your piece of spaghetti. If you stretch it out, it's maybe 20 meters long, or with the last one, it's probably 30 meters long. So it's a really long bead of sausages. So we have to actually build it globally first, make sure the geometry works, weld it all together, and then cut it up. If we start at one end and hope for the best, we're not going to find ourselves back at zero. Well, we're just trying to create a consistent finish, really. I think we don't want it to be all polished and smooth, because actually it will create quite a boring surface. So actually, we want it to be quite rough. Actually, the texture of the surface is, I think, what's going to create an interesting patina when it ages over time.